Hey everybody, I am Andra Annette and I am here with my friend Dale Walsh. So this is Building Community, and Dale has been a guest before on Healing from the Inside Out. And I like to follow up with the guests and see how they're doing. So Dale is an author, he's a coach. He was on a show for schizophrenia, and we were talking about the importance of mental health and that you are not your diagnosis or your disease. And Dal has so much going on that most people would have trouble keeping up with him. He's an extremely intelligent person, and I love talking to him. So we're gonna have a conversation with you guys, and please help me welcome Dale Walsh. Hello, Dal.
Hi, Andra Annette. So glad to be back. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So you got so much going on. Why don't you tell me in the audience what you've been going through and how you're feeling and what you're working on today?
Well, I think the easiest thing is sort of like to put a recent timeline together. So, uh, well, first off, just as an introduction, uh, for people who don't know me, I've been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia since August 3rd, 1975, and so I've been dealing with the diagnosis for 50 years. I've been hospitalized 15 times, got out 15 times before 2005. I was taken away from Dartmouth College for what I thought was a great joke, which was, "Hi, I'm God." And so, but unfortunately, in 1975, it seems nobody else had a sense of humor. So I got put in a hospital for 13 weeks, and this led to 5 years in a psychiatric program for young adults and troubled adolescents, basically for kids whose parents were rich and could pay the doctor to look after their kids. And then I got out of that, got my own apartment in 1981, went back to Fairleigh Dickinson, graduated in 1985, magna cum laude in English. I had a 3.776 cum out of 4. And then I basically began an entrepreneurial career as a tutor for Fairleigh students, where I would help them write papers. And that's the official line, but I'm dedicated to the truth these days, Andrew. So basically, I didn't just help people write papers, I wrote papers for people. So so basically, within 10 semesters, I estimate I wrote like 305-page papers. And then that's what I sort of reached burnout with that and took off some time and basically became a degenerate, and just smoked pot and drank beer and enjoyed my neighbor down the hall. And that lasted probably about like until I joined the church in 2004, and I gave up cigarettes in 2000. I gave up. I went straight sane and sober in 2007, and I basically attended church every day, every Sunday for 20 years from 2004 to 2025. And recently I've had like a sort of like an expansion. I've been exposed to an expansion of the kingdom philosophy of Jesus Christ and everything. So that's sort of like taking me out of the what was it, the cult to personality of Christ, of Jesus, and really like it helped me really understand what his kingdom is about. And actually, I've been guided by this guy Pedro Deo, but he talks about kingdom entrepreneurship. So basically, I'm not really like pursuing entrepreneurship that much as like understanding the kingdom. And But the critical thing about this whole thing is that about 2 months ago, I finally reached the conclusion of my 50-year LSD schizophrenic delusion trip when I realized that I really wasn't God. I'd been trying to prove that I was for the past previous 50 years. I realized I wasn't, and that actually God was sort of like proud of me, and he's like sort of like pushed me back and said, "Now go be Dale." So basically, so basically, I feel on my 70th birthday on May 24th, I asked God, I said, how long do I have? And he said, well, I'll give you another 10 years at least. So, but what that meant to me was that basically in the next 10 years, I have to accomplish what I should have been accomplishing for the last 50 years as Dale if I hadn't gotten distracted by this whole delusion of thinking I was God.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of work cut out for you. So,
Uh,
so how does it feel to let God take the reins again, Dale?
it felt very liberating. And
Yeah,
it felt very liberating, and also it's come with a lot of blessing. Every day, some miracle happens to me. I mean, like for instance, I saw a white feather blowing across the in the wind the other day. Or just like small miracles. I see white butterflies every day. The robins are very friendly to me. When I go and sit and contemplate and do my meditation and everything. And I'm just loving life in Teaneck, Hackensack City, and just I haven't been writing as much as I usually. Well, actually, from January 1st, 2023 to uh, March 25th, 2025, I wrote a poem a day, Andra. So,
very
um,
nice.
but I broke that streak, but I'm still writing poetry. But I'm also journaling, and the big news, besides my getting sort of kicked out of the nest by God, was I have a new podcast.
Yay. So what is your podcast going to be about?
It was called The Do, which is my initials DW, and my partner's name is Andrew, so it's Stu Andrew Conspiracy. And from the beginning, we said we aren't talking about politics or religion or anything. We're talking about the primordial conspiracy between God and man, which was embodied in the breath of life that God put into Adam to create humanity. And that's really, and so we believe it's called conspiracy because we begin with 3 minutes of breath work every show, but get everybody breathing conspiracy. But people talk about conspiracy and they don't even know that the root of conspiracy is breathed together. Con, which is with, and spiral, which is breathe. So a conspiracy is breathing together, and ultimately all mankind is one God conspiracy because we're all breathing the same air. So I know it's ambitious as always, Andra, but we're looking to unite the world with this podcast.
Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. I would like to see you write more because I think you have a brilliant mind, and I think that the story of your life could really help a lot of people. You know, it could really help a lot of people, and I think that you're very genuine at heart, and I think you have an amazing personality, and I think that people connect to that.
Well, actually, I do have like a 50-page memoir I took a course with a writing coach and for like Amazon short books, and I wrote a 50-page memoir of my experience at Dartmouth and how I basically went crazy and went psychotic at Dartmouth, and it's called Escape from the Ivy League, or How Becoming God Changed My Life.
I like that. See, you have a sense of humor, and I I think it's very important to have a sense of humor, especially in today's date and time. Because and I think your show is going to be a hit because everybody's talking about conspiracy. Have you read the book A Course in Miracles?
I got halfway through it, and then I first off, I heard a negative uh, review on YouTube, so that sort of like made me think. And to tell you the truth, I got about like a third to a halfway through, and I just couldn't accept the premise anymore of like no attack. There was no such thing as attack, and this might be my own mindset and everything, but basically for 50 years, I when I got taken away from Dartmouth, I said I was drafted into psychotic wars. And I started as a buck private at the hospital, and over the last 50 years, I've risen basically to supreme commander of dock forces. But that that being the case, everything's a challenge, and it's like it there's nothing, and that's why I say, if it wasn't for the philosophy of Dale to Dale, I don't think I would have survived. I'm starting a tea company, Andra, and one of our first shirts is going to be the secret. The secret to success is going Dale to Dale.
I like that. I like that. I had a t-shirt company when I was young, Tees That Please. It was mostly kids clothing
Right.
and garments, but I liked it. But the reason why I asked you about the book, Dale, just to bring you back, is because a lot of people do have trouble getting through that book. And I think that the way it's written is is harder to digest. And I had difficulty getting through it until I said to myself, they make everything for dummies, golf for dummies,
Right,
ABCs for
right.
dummies. I said, so maybe they make this in A Course for Miracles for dummies. And sure enough, they did. And it was
Okay.
a much easier. I got it on the audio and I listened to it again and again. And it really talks about us being imprisoned in our own minds, and that's the separation that we have from God. So it's a very enlightening book that it kind of says that we're prisoners to our own belief system and that nothing that we believe is actually reality. So it's um it's enlightening to say the least, but it really changes your views about things, like things that you thought were like set in stone or you were taught growing up. It really makes you second guess them. And then someone told me about the book The Disappearance of the Universe, which is actually the precursor to the Course in Miracles, but it was written 10 or so years later.
Right.
Right. So that I guess the guy that he wanted to write it wasn't ready. I don't I
Right,
don't know.
right.
I don't know how that works. But I found them very interesting, and I think that it's all about love and forgiveness, and um, it made me very hopeful. That's why I asked you if you read it because you
I
have this newfound God awareness, and I thought that you might appreciate that book.
Well, I should preface by saying two things. First off, my tolerance for reading has decreased significant over time.
Yeah.
So, A Course in Miracles was like a big project. I mean, I took it on as a year project, and I got about 5 months into it, and basically, I felt that I got out of it what I needed to do, what I needed to, and I whether the rest was the re was
You're freezing.
go back. And I found a lot of help in it. It really helped me in my in my in my path with Jesus, because it is basically talking about the Nazarene and everything.
So other than the podcast, what do you have in your sights? Because you're living Dale to Dow. You're living Dale to Dow, and which is good, right? It keeps saying the internet is unstable, so I hope we don't get cut off. Sorry, guys. Um, so it's saying you're telling me that you're living life Dale to Dal and you're doing this podcast, you're trying to bring everybody together, and you feel as though you need to live the last 50 years in the 10 years that God's given you left,
But
right?
no, he didn't say definitively I only have 10 years. He said we're going to negotiate in 10 years.
Okay. So you have
So
a lot of things.
that's a big difference because that means he's going, after another decade, whether I actually achieved what I was supposed to have achieved is going to be visible or not.
Okay, well, I think that we all create a blueprint, if you will, while we're here. I think that
Right.
we all have tasks to complete while we're here. I don't know if it's going to take me another 10 years. God, I hope not. Because I have a big vision. My ear, I keep hearing an echo in one ear. I don't know what that's about. So um what
But
would you like?
I did want to say, you said about my writing. Actually, at the beginning of July, Pedro was like Pedro Adeo was talking about like what's your God mission, and I got this insight. Write write 64 poem. Write a book about schizophrenia. So and poetry. So basically what it came to my mind was I wrote 64 poems explaining schizophrenia in verse, and I call it psychotics can't write like this, or the a poetic explanation of schizophrenia. And so all I have to do now, I got the 64 poems completed. I just have to take them from my messy handwriting and transcribe them onto the computer. And then I can KDP it and get it up on Amazon. And I'm also like looking at some other publishing opportunities.
I could publish it for you. I actually publish people's books.
Oh, okay.
It's very inexpensive. Um, so yeah, I could actually publish it for you, and it automatically goes to Amazon because I they go global. So
Right.
all of my books are global, sold around the world, and I don't upload them to Amazon. I publish them through a real publishing site. It's just easier for me to do. I published a lot of books with other people and I wasn't happy with the quality of their work, so this is just easier. I could show you how. I'd be happy to.
Okay. Well, I just I did. I've had 5 books on Amazon for a while, and under D. Walsh. I don't know if you knew that, Andra, but maybe you can put that in the notes or something. But yeah, there are 5 books on Amazon, poetry by D. Walsh. But the big point is I got a mission from God, and it's like 3/4 completed. I just have to like break down this last resistance to transcribe the originals into a Word document that I can download to either you or wherever I decide. But I'm thinking of using it as a lead magnet for like getting people interested in my other writings.
Sounds like a really good idea. It sounds like a really good idea. It's a nice introduction to your other writings. Yes, and you absolutely have to advertise them. So you're talking about your books. What are some of the names of your other books so the audience can look for your books?
Well, they're all collections of poetry. There's Seraphim on the Cusp of Spring. We have Fossil Fuel for the Brain. This is the second one. And then I
I
wrote
love that cover. I think
And
you have
then,
such an
do
amazing
you know who this
personality.
is, Alondra? Do you know who the model is that what was used? Can you
No,
tell?
no.
Grace Kelly.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
That this is when my friend Tony did this, but yeah, he's a genius. So, and then I did a book called For Those Who Hate Verse, which has Shakespeare with Mark through him, you know. And then I did Entering New Era of Do being the combination of America, Dale, and Australia, Do. And actually, this began, this collection begins the actual day that I made the transition from Dewey to Do. But we won't go into personality transitions right now, but basically this is like a very significant document of like the arrival of Dew in Hackensack.
In Hackensack.
Of
I
course.
think yeah, I think you have just like such a great sense of humor. I really do. So I'm really interested to read the 64 poems. So
Okay.
when you actually are ready and we publish it, we'll come out and we'll bring it before the audience because I have and you're welcome to be on any one of my shows now. I have a show just for authors that come on and they share some of their work with the audience. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't know that, and actually, that's one of the sea changes that I'm making in my podcast goals is to get on more writing shows.
Well, I have one story time, and that's for kids' books, and then I have narrative nights for adult people. For like adult books, not adult
Right. Right.
people, adult books. Kids could be on
Right.
it too if they wrote a
Well,
book.
I have poetry books, but I also have my six novels, and the fourth novel is the one that I call it my bestseller for the last century. It's called Velvet Velours Follies Book Two, or The Flight of the Dialina, which is my spaceship.
Okay, well then you come on and you read some from it, and then there's a lot of people writing today, and I find that there's very little people reading. So
Right,
I so I started the show because there's a million, 100 million word gap, something like that, between low socioeconomic and high socioeconomic people. So
right,
I'm trying to close that gap that I even read on shows, believe it or not. So um to get people interested in reading again and making
right.
sure that if people can't afford a book, they can still read a book. So I read
So,
kids I read kids books online.
so what's your view on audiobooks? Do you think that's like a happy compromise, or
I think so. I think that a lot of people, I think that everybody learns differently. So I'm both audio and visual. So I like the audio books because it allows me to walk with it and still do
right,
other things and still feel like I'm listening to it. I've gone to sleep with books in my ears and feel like I remembered it the next day. I know that sounds odd, but I felt like I was more open to that book while I was sleeping. I know it's
right,
crazy.
right?
But and I did that even when I was in nursing school. I used to listen to the audio books for nursing while I slept. Maybe that's why it's
Oh,
so
okay.
ingrained in my head. Um, but yeah, so I think it's a nice combination. I think that so even podcasts like on YouTube, a lot of people do podcasts that are just audio. And I find that people connect more with the visual, but some people would like to have it just to listen to on the way to work, so it's easier to
Right.
tune in. So you have both audiences. You could really
But
do both.
we do our podcast both ways. We do it a video. We do it on YouTube and on all podcast platforms.
Okay,
Uh,
so that's good. So you have to send me a clip so I can tune in and support you. So we're
I
gonna
will.
close. We are gonna close the show though. So is there anything that you want the audience to know before we leave?
Well, this is perhaps my most important message about mental illness and why it's so hard to treat. I think we went into this. I'm sure we went into this last time, but it's called agnosignosia, and that means that a person is unable to comprehend that there's something wrong with his brain when he or she is mentally ill. So the analogy is you hold a book up to a blind person, they aren't going to be able to read it. So you hold up symptoms to someone who's mentally ill, and they're going to react either negatively or not at all. So just bear in mind if you are faced with a crisis or you think that something's going wrong, early intervention is important. And I'm available. I think Andra probably has my contact information. I'm available for the family caregivers of those with schizophrenia. I don't deal with the patients themselves. I encourage the family caregivers not only in better communication skills but also in self-esteem and breaking codependency. So thank you very much, Andra, for this time. Hope that wasn't too long a farewell. And
No,
it's always
I love connecting with you. I love talking to you. I think that you have such a positive attitude. I think you've been through a lot and I think you've handled it brilliantly. And I think that a lot of people really don't understand mental illness, right? And I don't think that a lot of people will give someone that they feel that is has a mental health issue too much time. And I think the only way we really learn to better help them and better communicate is to really give them that time because we're not all so different, you know. There were many times when I struggled through my life, you know, emotionally, mentally. So I think that the best way to learn is from each other, and I think that you have so much to offer. So I encourage you to keep
I
going.
I came up with a sound bite today.
With the what?
With a sound bite.
Okay.
The only reason mental illness, no, the only programming is the only reason that mental illness is not universally acknowledged.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think generationally that people have looked at any kind of mental health issue, whether it's anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, bipolar. I think that it's looked upon very poorly in a lot of cultures, and I think that there's a lot of people that don't get the help, you know, that they need. I had someone on a show that her brother had committed suicide, and he was talking about depression with his family for a really long time, and they basically told him to, you know, slap an H on his back and handle it because it was a weakness in his culture. And unfortunately, he's not around to talk about it. So I think that there's a lot of negativity around mental illness, and I think there's a lot of stigmas,
Oh,
not stigmatisms. We're not talking about
right.
the eye here. Um, stigmas, but I think that I think we need to be more open to understanding one another. I
But,
think that everybody in the world is suffering from one thing or another, and on any given day, but for the grace of God, go I. So I think we need to be a little bit more open and understanding and compassionate. So I want to thank you
but
so much for coming on the show today. And I want to
uh,
thank the
okay, I just wanted to say you have a choice of fear or love. And stigma and everything against mental illness is fear. And it's time to start growing the love a little bit more and understanding, giving people at least like 2, 3 minutes to explain what they mean if you think they're going off the deep end. And just having patience. And this is what I tell my clients: have patience, have faith, have love, and have devotion to your loved ones. So that's my advice, and thank you very much. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you as you're drying your clothes, and
It's
uh,
okay. It's okay, Dale. So I want to thank the audience for coming in. I want to thank you for listening to Dale and myself at this time. I love Dale. I think he has a lot to offer. I love that he's out there doing, he's not letting anything stand in his way. He's writing books and he's just an amazing person. So get to know more about Dale and tune in and watch the show. Have a great day.